Yo, 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 people and patrons of the night. It is your boy, BD. I am the host of the Horror Tavern. Welcome back. If this is your first time, I am basically a one-stop shop for all things horror. I talk about all types of horror media, whether it be movies, books, short stories, TV shows, you name it. And here, I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite horror comedy movies of all time. Arguably, just in general, one of my favorite movies of all time. It is iconic. It is extremely well done. It's got some fantastic monsters and creature feature. It does an alien story in a unique way. It's got some great characters. It's got a great plot. It is the embodiment of fun. One of the most fun, horror movies I've ever seen in my entire life. And I've seen it before, back when I wasn't into horror as much as I was as a kid and now I've rewatched it, and man, it is just as good, if not even better. So without further ado, make sure that you take a seat, you grab a drink, and specifically let me recommend to you the blueberry slushy, the popcorn, and the cotton candy, because today we're going to be talking about Killer Klowns from Outer Space, 1988. This is the most fun horror movie of all time to me. This movie has an extremely fun plot. It has some of the most fun, most awesome, epic monsters out there in any movie. It's a really cheesy movie in terms of its, idea and gimmick, but it's cheesy in the best way. It's cheesy in that fun way, that old school way. I love how much fun this movie is. And I'm typically a guy who doesn't like cheesy and corny stuff, but I'm more forgiving with horror comedies. And again, this movie is just extremely well done. Yes, it is goofy. Yes, it is corny. Yes, it's cheesy, but it's meant to be, and it embodies it, and it plays it up, and it does it in one of the best ways possible. Killer Klowns from Outer Space is damn near a masterpiece, and I recommend every single one of you watch this movie, regardless of my review. Please go check it out. If you are a 80s kid, if you're a 90s kid, if you're a 2000s kid, I think you're going to dig this movie a lot. If you're a modern person, I think you're still going to have a fun time. I mean, I think this movie is for everybody. I think it's a timeless classic. And yeah, if you can't tell, I'm cheesing during this movie. The dimples are out just because I absolutely love it. So let me talk a little bit about the plot, and then we'll get into some of the really fun stuff and cool stuff you can expect in this movie. So this movie takes place in a small suburban town, and you get introduced to the chief in command of the police, I think, and his name is Officer Mooney. I forgot his actor's name, but this guy is a really good actor. First of all, I love his voice. He sounds like your typical old school kind of hero guy in movies. His voice is as smooth as silk, pause. But yeah, he's a really charming guy. And he sort of is like a very strict cop. You can see in this town that it's full of excuse me, college kids and good folks. You see a lot of people grabbing beer, getting ready to drink, getting ready to party. It's the summertime. People want to have a good time. And he's very much a strict officer, so you see him driving around, patrolling the area for any possible bad activity going on. And then there's also another officer who works with them named Officer Dave. Officer Dave is a younger guy. He's more freeform. He's not as strict. He's more so in tune with people, much more respectful and nice. And you get introduced to the main characters, whose name is, I believe, I think it's Mike and Debbie. I forget if it's Mike and Ryan or Debbie, but I don't know. I think I'm going to just say Mike. I think it's Mike and Debbie, the main character, and the girl, Debbie. Debbie is drop dead gorgeous. I've seen her actress as she is now, and she's a gilf. She's even beautiful and hot as an older woman. And back then, excuse me, I got a bad cough, but I got to put it aside for this awesome review. She's still bad as fuck in this movie, and she's bad as fuck even as an older woman, so shout out to Debbie. So Debbie and Mike are out on this kind of like vantage point. It's the highest point in the town. It's sort of like that typical mountainside view. They're looking up at the stars. All these college kids are lined up in their cars. They're making out, getting ready to have, a fun time. They're drinking. And as Mike and Debbie are looking at the starry sky, they see this bright red flashing, what looks like a shooting star or meteor, fly through the night sky and then land like hundreds of feet, or like, I don't know, whatever feet away from this vantage point in the woods. So Debbie gets very, excited. She's like, she wants to go check it out. And Mike is like, you know what? I'd rather spend the time with you. I don't really want to go out there. And slowly you get the hint that, this town is very sort of tight knit. You get a lot of good feels involving the people, college kids, families, children. You even got, I think the Tenzeni twins. Is it the Tenzeni twins? It's this group of twins. Or not twins, but these brothers who are very comedic. They're like that typical Beavis and Butthead kind of duo. They're really funny guys. And they're riding around in this ice cream truck that has a clown on the top as their gimmick. And, they decide, what, let's go check it out. Maybe it was something cool that we can find there. So Debbie and Mike go over there. And then you get introduced to this farmer who happened to see this object flying down from the sky and landing. And he decides to go over there with his little, hound dog. And when he goes over there, he thinks that he can potentially make some money. He thinks it might be some famous meteor or comet, but he finds a giant circus tent. And he's like, what the fuck is this? Why is there a giant circus tent, out here? They're like some event going on. He's just not really sure. Even the dog is a little unsure, but he starts walking around. He starts seeing that it's glowing. It's got these giant wires coming down. And next thing you know, this hole opens up in the tent, and this deformed mutant looking clown, and I mean mutant, it's got this giant head, it's got this, colorful hair, it's got this mouth full of jagged teeth, and it's like pulsating and moving its face around, and it, with these giant hands, takes out this net and scoops up the dog. And then when the farmer turns around, he sees that the dog isn't there. He sort of worries and thinks about what must be going on. And then when he realizes that somebody in the circus might have taken this dog, he decides to try to break in there. It's as solid as a rock. He can't break down this tent for some reason. And when he grabs onto one of the wires that's holding on this tent to the ground, that's planting it in, he gets electrocuted to death. Not to death, but he gets electrocuted badly. And then this clown comes out, and it's this, again, 7-foot tall, mutated looking clown monster. Looks very, very goofy and over the top, but creepy at the same time. It looks like, the most deformed forms of Joker. Like, have you ever seen Joker from DC? In the forms where he's fallen into the vat of acid and it's messed up his face. It looks like that, except more over the top. So really, really fun monster designs in this movie. If you watch the movie or look it up on Google or whatever, or even the thumbnail of this video might have it, you can see the designs of these clowns. And this clown then takes out this little go-go gadget toy blaster thing and fires it. And when it fires it, there's this giant glowing pink light around the guy. So that's where it leaves off. And then you eventually get to Mike and Debbie showing up to the tent. They actually manage to enter the tent, and the tent is something off the chain. It looks like a giant superhero lair. You got these bright, vibrant colors. It's a lot bigger than they expected. And when they go into this elevator, it's got this set of 3 elevators. Every time they press the button, it honks like a, clown nose. And when they start going up to these floors, they realize that this place is giant. They open up one door, and it's this giant abyss. There's like machines running through it. It's huge, and they're like, what the fuck? This is not a circus. This is some other shit. They go to the next floor, and they see this sort of candy room. It smells like candy, and there's these popcorn machines that are popping away. And then they see these pink cocoons. And these pink cocoons are like made out of cotton candy. It's like these cotton candy cocoons that are hooked onto this like line of poles, like an upside down umbrella. And when they try to take a piece off the cotton candy, I think Mike tries to take off a piece and try to show that it's fun and they can eat it, because Debbie's very hesitant. When he pulls it off, there is a like bloody pink soaked face of a dead person, a corpse inside of this cotton candy cocoon, and he freaks out. And then when they back up, another giant clown comes in and hangs up a new cocoon, which is suspected to be the farmer. So you realize these are aliens. These are some obscure monsters from another place. They're basically look like clowns. They have all the different amusement park, carnival, circus gimmicks that clowns have, and nobody knows why they're here. And eventually, as these guys manage to escape, these clowns try chasing them down, trying to get them. And then eventually the clowns decide to follow these 2 guys into town and then start wreaking havoc. And then it's the police in the town versus the killer clowns from outer space. And that's essentially the plot of the movie. This movie is unbelievably fun, man. I gotta take a drink to this. I have never seen a movie that is like kids horror, but it's a nice mix. It's a nice mix of all three genres. It's got kids horror aspects to it. It's got YA horror with the drinking and the, college students and stuff, and then it's got adult horror with some dark stuff that happens to people. Again, in a really fun way. Some of the things I love about this movie is, again, the monsters. The clown aliens in this movie are great. They have amazing practical effects. I love all their different looks and costumes. Again, they're very goofy, but they're also fun, so that's a nice contrast between them. And the way they kill victims in this movie is crazy. First of all, they got these little toy blasters and they can fire them, and it'll do this webbing around you and put you in this cotton candy cocoon where you essentially will dissolve. Your body will start breaking down and dissolving in an insect fashion inside of this cotton candy cocoon. And then they bring you to the ship and they'll put this giant, crazy-ass, twisty drinking straw in it and slurp down your blood and cotton candy juices mixed together for sustenance. That is fun, but disturbing as fuck, done in a really good way. There's one kill scene where one of the clowns puts up this makeshift booth and does like a puppet show. And when this one guy shows up at the park and watches him doing this puppet show, one of the puppets picks up like a little toy blaster, and next thing you know, the stand breaks apart and the 7-foot tall clown rises up and then hits him with the cotton candy blaster. That was a really fun way. And a lot of these clowns have different tools and gadgets that they can use, and they're very sort of like, I guess, omnipotent. They're pretty much outclassing all the humans in terms of their capabilities and powers. They have these bags full of popcorn, and this popcorn can be thrown onto somebody and stick to them like glue, and they can use that popcorn to then track and follow them. But this popcorn is sentient, and you find out that this popcorn, when they start sprinkling some of it into trash cans and some of it ends up in one of the main character's laundry baskets, this popcorn can then hatch like eggs, like seeds, and basically bring out these worm clown creature children. It's like these long intestinal worms, and then on the head it's the miniature face of a clown alien, and it's got no eyes, but it's got these vicious jagged mouth of like piranha teeth, and it'll bite down and get you, sort of like that alien, that little bursting alien out of the stomach from the Alien movies. Kind of looks like those things, but in a clown fashion. So those are very cool. You have some cool stuff like involving, like they can kill you with pies. They have pies that they can throw at you, and these pies will dissolve your body down to basically the bone. You'll be remained as a skeleton. It's acidic. And on top of that, when they throw the pies at somebody, they then have the nerve to take a comically large cherry and then put it on top like a cherry on a sundae. A lot of crazy stuff in this movie. And even their ship is very fun. Their ship is like this giant circus tent, and it's full of balloons in the hallways. It has like a hall full of like moving doors. It's got these miniature doors that, you have to open through and get through. It's got like a hall of mirrors. And when you slide down this fireman pole that you can go into the ship with, this fireman pole at the bottom floor leads down to this giant kaiju-sized monster worm that has like 3 dark pupilless eyes, and its mouth opens up into 3 different like hinges, like the Demogorgon thing from Stranger Things. Its mouth opens up into 3 different pieces with a like lamprey mouth full of teeth. It's pretty creepy. They potentially may or may not have a giant gladiator monster thing that they have on the ship as backup. I don't know if that's their leader or if it's like a giant kaiju monster thing. It's very cool. And they have a lot of fun gimmicks throughout this movie. And even like some of the characters will try to escape from the clowns. And when they try to leap out of windows to get away from them, it'll be like 4 clowns with a trampoline ready to bounce them back up and stuff. Just very fun. There's some other things that I'm missing, but you should go watch the movie and check it out. Again, a lot of great stuff in there. All the characters in the movie I'm a fan of. Officer Mooney, who's the chief of the police, he's meant to be an asshole, but he's a charming asshole. Again, he's got a great voice, great look. Officer Mooney is one of the great police officer names. It's either Officer Mooney or Officer Dale. Those are like the best police officer names you can give in movies. I like his character a lot. He's that older sort of asshole figure, but he's a charming asshole. And then you got, I think Officer, what's his name? Dan. I think Dan was his name. He's that younger guy. He used to be in a relationship with Debbie, and he's a good character. He's a good sympathetic guy. Debbie and Mike are a good couple. I like Debbie. I like Mike. Mike is a good, sort of main character. And the Tenenzi twins, or whatever, the Tenenzi brothers, they're very funny. Again, Beavis and Butthead duo. And even the side characters in this movie, like the store owner. There's a gas station store owner who has to sit there while these 7-foot tall clowns come in and start getting all this confetti and like silly string stuff, and they're knocking down the shelves, and he's just sort of looking at their wide-eyed like he doesn't know if they're actually real or what's going on. So he's sort of freaking out. Officer Mooney, there's a brutal kill scene involving him, which he basically tries to lock up this like 7-8 foot tall excuse me, clown alien that comes into his police station. And the clown puts flowers in front of him. It sprays water in his face. Then he puts handcuffs on the clown, and then the clown pulls its hands out, and the hands detach. And then he says, "Put your hands up." And then more hands come out of the clown's arms. And then it starts puppeteering him. It like puts its arm through his back and puts makeup on him and starts puppeteering him. Really haunting stuff. Again, these clowns are fun, but they're real imminent threats. And again, all the characters are great in this movie. And the practical effects is good. You got some nice action sequences, some good explosions in there. You got to have explosions. And this movie made me laugh quite out loud quite a bit of times. It's not the funniest horror comedy I've seen, but it's definitely up there. I was laughing quite a bit during this movie, especially with some of the characters and some of the jokes that the clowns do. Very absurd. The twins, the brothers make me laugh so much because the brothers end up in a scene where they get thrown into this giant ball pit, potentially on the ship. And in this giant ball pit, they see these two clown hooker ladies that are on there. And the clown ladies have these inflating breasts, like their boobs start inflating and shit. And then when these two brothers come to try to save the main characters, potentially may or may not involve busting an ice cream truck through a room, you see that their clothes are ripped up and they have kiss marks all over their faces. So they were going crazy in some klussy, in some clown punani, some honk fugazis. They were going crazy on some honk honkers, on some honk honkies. Insane, really insane. And then I think there's one point where they're in a life or death situation, and then the officer tells them, "Get out of the truck, we have to get out of here." And it's like, "No, we can't leave the truck, it's rented." A lot of good lines in there. This is just the embodiment of a fun movie. And the pacing's good, everything is good. The ending is absolutely epic, and I love it, man. I love it. So that's essentially Killer Klowns from Outer Space, 1988. Please go check out this movie. I would give it a 9.8 out of 10. It's damn near a perfect score. The only reason I didn't give it a perfect score is because, well, there's some people who survive some absurd-ass shit that I'm like, all right, that's a bit much. But it's a horror... Excuse me, it's a horror comedy, so I can somewhat excuse it. But at the same time, I'm like, all right, that's a bit ridiculous. But nonetheless, it's pretty much damn near a masterpiece. I give it a 9.8 out of 10. Fantastic, great movie. And this is going in my Hall of Fame of horror movies. And without a doubt, this is the best horror comedy that I've ever seen. So that's Killer Klowns from Outer Space, 1988. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. I hope you guys had a good time with it. If you did, hit that subscribe button down below and hit that like button if you enjoyed. Let me know down below. We are very close to 300 subscribers. If we can hit that, I would be happy as a guy in pig shit. I think it's a pig in pig shit. If you're a guy in pig shit, I'm calling 911. But comment down below. Do you love this movie? Do you not like this movie for some reason? If you don't like this movie, better off not commenting. I'm just kidding. I'm not. And then let me know. If you've not watched this movie, go check it out and then let me know your thoughts. I recommend this to you guys. And that's all I have for today. I think this is one of the best summertime movies. I'm trying to pump out more movie reviews during the summer because I have the time to record them. And yeah, stay tuned for more content to come. Hope you guys liked the video, and deuces. Dun 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 dun.